I didn't expect Robert Saleh to be fired. That's what we're going to go with. That's what we're going to lead off with today. I'm going to fix my hair, get the theme music going, and we got a lot to go over. Let's have some fun. Yes! Yes! All right. I'm going to level with you. So I wake up this morning, Keaton from Keaton Talk Sports on Instagram posts that Robert Saleh was fired, and I thought he was playing with me. I thought he was joking, thought he was playing with me, and he is not. Sisu, what's up, my German brother? What is up, my German brother, man? So good to see you. I'm a level with you guys. Of all the things I thought that could happen, I didn't see week 5. I mean, going into week 6, but after a 2-3 start, Robert Saleh, and here's the drill. I really thought that Monday night at home against the Bills was kind of a good opportunity to get the season turned around. And maybe that's what the owner's thinking. I actually don't have a definitive answer as to the thought process of Woody Johnson, but I will say that I was floored by this. I was not floored with Saleh being fired. I really thought the Jets had to at least make the playoffs in order for Saleh to keep his job, but I really thought that after a 2-3 start, especially with Buffalo, at 3-2, you played the Bills on Monday night. You beat Buffalo on Monday night. You're really in control of the AFC East, even at 3-3. So that's kind of my thought process here. Perry, man, I am fantastic. I have to admit, I am floored. Keaton from Keaton Talk Sports sent posted this on Instagram. I thought it was a joke account. I thought it was a parody. I didn't believe it. I was really surprised about this. I'm not surprised about Saleh being fired. I am surprised it happened. I am surprised it happened now. So let's see what happened. A-Rod shag over Saleh. Oh man. Sisu, okay, I got kind of destroyed because of injury, so I need a new kicker and new defense. You're probably you had the 49ers kicker. You could go with the new kicker that they signed. Okay, you're on pickup McLaughlin with Tampa and the Houston Texans defense. Both are solid. I mean, what defenses and kickers are available? What kickers and defenses are available? Let me see here. Houston at Tampa Bay. I'm sorry, Houston at New England. Now, the fun thing about New England is that's another big story. New England's going to give Drake May to start. Drake May is going to get his first NFL start against the Texans. So I do like picking up the Houston Texans defense. I'll be honest with you, the Houston Texans defense, that's a good one. If you can get that one, that's one of the best ones to get. You're going against a rookie quarterback, a team that's doing really bad. The Tampa defense, because it's unknown if Derek Carr is going to play. If he does play, he's not going to be 100%. I know they're banged up. I know they gave up, a gajillion yards last week to Tampa, but that would be a good one. Pittsburgh's defense against a really struggling Raiders offense. You could go maybe the Chargers defense. That's kind of a dark horse. They're playing at Denver. Denver's playing really well right now, but you have a rookie quarterback. Thing is with the Chargers is off of a bye. I kind of like that. Others are Eagles, Chargers, Colts, and maybe Falcons. Colts are interesting. Will Levis is banged up. I've been saying, as long as he's starting quarterback, not a good defense though. A lot of injuries. I would kind of advise against the Colts. Chargers at Denver is a good one, fresh off of a bye. I kind of like that one. Trying to see here the Falcons at Carolina. That's a possibility. Cleveland at Philly. I actually really like the Eagles, but I mean, I'll be honest with you though. I would with going against a rookie quarterback's always a good thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the kid's talented, Drake May, but I mean, he's raw, first NFL start. Really struggling offense, bad offensive line. This is what I would do. Kickers are, McLaughlin. I kind of like it because you're playing against a dome team. That's always a plus. When you look at kicker matchups, I always want to look at weather conditions, indoors, dome. It's a good one. The Saints defense is pretty good, but Tampa's been able to move the ball. I think you have some good matchups there. I was thinking the same thing, Perry. Welcome, brother. When I saw Aaron Rodgers push Salah away, they tried to play it off, and I'll give credit for Salah, but I think if you ask Salah without any press or anybody around and he give you an honest answer, I think he would tell you that he hated having Aaron Rodgers around, period. I think that I think the offensive coordinator wasn't his decision. I think it was Rodgers' decision. I think he would have liked to do something different. Will he get another head coaching job? I have no idea. And I'll be honest with you. I kind of look at Salah as somebody who I think might be better suited. I have no idea what his intentions are. If he wanted to be a head coach again, he seems to me be a guy that might be better suited for the college ranks. Just personal opinion. We'll have to see, but he's a world-class defensive coordinator. He could get another job as a head coach. We'll have to wait and see. iTag, what's up, brother? Yo, Dan the man, how's it going? Man, I'm a level with you. I'm floored about Salah being fired, not being fired, but the timing really surprised me. Really surprised me. I'm going to talk about it in some detail today, but I'm going to answer all your questions. The main reason I do this is so I can just answer questions. It's my favorite thing in the world to do, so I'm going to do it. Hurts or Burrow, do you think Evan Ingram or Taysom Hill are going to play? Evan Ingram, Taysom Hill, Cade Otton, or Brenton Strange? Okay. I was actually expecting Taysom Hill to play this week. Usually players get a little amped up for Monday Night Football, playing against the back-to-back defending Super Bowl champs. I thought might be enough to get Taysom Hill to go. He's not going to play. Evan Ingram, I expect to play. Let's do this. Let's just kind of look at it now, because I actually was expecting Evan Ingram to play this week. By the way, he did play a little bit last week, but I mean, 1 catch, 5 yards. Not really 100%. He is cleared to play, but I don't know I'll be honest with you. You may want to avoid him. I mean, it's a risky proposition. Taysom Hill, I was expecting to play against Kansas City, listed as questionable. I would, to be honest with you, I think Otten might be your best choice, to be honest with you, just because he's not on the injury report. 3 receptions for 44 yards last week, but he is getting targets. Brenton Strange is kind of interesting, because this is a guy that I didn't really care for the draft pick, to be honest with you. He's one of these Penn State tight ends that just has a crazy amount of athleticism and ability, but I didn't understand why why they looked at him so much. But I mean, he had a great game against Cleveland, 3 receptions, 65 yards. But that's his best. I was reading the targets, so I said, good game. I would go with Otten, to be honest with you, even though I'll be honest with you. I would really, really, really strongly consider, if I was you, I would strongly consider just kind of keeping an eye out on the injury report. Which one do you have? I mean, I'm assuming you don't have all 4 of these. I'm assuming Otten or Strange is on the waiver wire, and Ingram and Taysom Hill, maybe you have one of them. I think that what you might want to do is, which one do you have? Because if you have one, you may want to hold on to it. But if all of these 4 are free, I would go with Otten, because I mean, he's the only one who's a starter who's not on the injury report, and I do like Otten. I'm a kind of a fan of his. I'll be honest with you. I mean, he's just low on the. Okay, you have Otten. Okay. So, okay, yeah. If you have Otten, I would really just consider him. The one thing I will say is that if Evan Ingram is on the waiver wire, depending on if you have a spot or 2 available, you might want to consider picking him up. Not this week, but maybe the following week. Remember they're playing back-to-back weeks in London. They're used to it. It might be a situation where if you just hold on to him if you can. I'm not 100% sure what your lineup is, but since you have Otten, I would just stick with him for this week and see if there's a chance that we can upgrade the rest of your roster. George plays 0-1. What's up, brother? 4-1. Nice. My other running backs are Barkley and Gibbs. Okay, so that's good. You're solid there. I've been adamant. I think Detroit should play Montgomery more than Gibbs, but they seem to do just the opposite, and I get the logic behind it. But I would like to see the Lions be more smash mouth. But that's just my opinion. Should I trade Mason for A-Chain? No. Not only is A-Chain banged up, they really like Wright. I was really surprised that Jeff Wilson didn't get more touches. They kind of just I don't have no idea what situation. They're not really even using him. Mozart's going to play a little more now that he's back into the lineup, but I would absolutely positively not make this move. Mason's a guy that's going to be the number 1 guy in San Francisco for the foreseeable future. I have no idea how long CMC is going to be out, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's out for an extended period of time. A-Chain, it was a concussion, if I remember right. And I think that they really like this Wright kid. They really like this Wright kid. He's got a little more size. The biggest problem with him is that at Tennessee he barely touched the ball. It was something like 112 or 120 touches, but he had 4 fumbles. That's way too much in college game. He hasn't had that issue in the NFL, and he's a bigger dude, which they really like. They like having a little bit of size on the team, but I would really, really, really not make this move. I understand the logic behind it because Barkley and Gibbs, but I would really kind of have Barkley be my 1, Mason be my 2, and Gibbs flex, and then depending on what your receivers are. The one thing I will say is that they use Gibbs in the passing game a little more than they use Montgomery. But I by the way, I don't know if you watched my picks video, but I did predict a Detroit Dallas shootout. So in a shootout, I kind of like Gibbs. So you may want to play him this week, but I would strongly recommend not making this move. Perry, if I'm a team with a bad defense, I'm calling Salah ASAP. Oh yeah, I mean, any team that needs help on defense, I would call Salah immediately. I mean, unless you're a team that runs a 3-4 or an odd front. I'll be honest with you. I've been saying this for a while, and Lions fans hate when I say this, but I'm not sold on New England at all. If I'm the Lions, I'd bring in Robert Saleh after the season's over. I mean, I would just empty, I would just whatever it takes. Robert Saleh in Detroit makes a lot of sense. If I'm the 49ers, I would want to bring him back. I'm trying to think of other teams here. I mean, I talked about Cincinnati wanting to make a change on the defensive side of the ball. And by the way, I do think that that's kind of the direction they'll go, is that I think they'll fire Amaruno. I would 100% make the call to Robert Saleh. I think he's a world-class defensive coordinator. I really do. So, I mean, the 49ers is a team. I think the Lions should. The Bengals, if they want to move on. Trying to think of other teams here. The Indianapolis Colts. I mean, Gus Bradley's an excellent defensive coordinator. I have no idea what's going on with the Colts, but to be honest with you, Saleh would fit in Indianapolis' scheme really, really well. I mean, I was going to say Miami, but I think that they're going to give Weaver at least one more year. Doesn't really fit in with New England's defense, but New England, honestly, I have no idea what New England's going to do going forward. We'll see. There's a lot of teams that would be interested in Saleh, though. Is McLaughlin going to play? No. Hey, don't apologize. I mean, all questions are answered. Anything goes. I don't have the answer to that. I literally, once I found out Saleh was fired, I was just kind of floored, to be honest with you. So, I mean, he's not on the injury report, so I'm not he's not on the injury report, so I believe he is. So I'm now, keep in mind, I'm using ESPN. ESPN's not the best choice, but McLaughlin, matter of fact, I'm going through, according to ESPN here, and Tampa Bay's injury report is kind of solid right now. But I, to the best of my knowledge, he's going to play. I don't think Mooney's out for the year. I was under the impression it was just a couple of weeks. McLaughlin's on bad option. I always look at there's a few things when I look at teams. I always like getting kickers from teams that either want a powerhouse offense where you're getting a few points every week, or you go with a team that has a bad offense. Because you're kicking field goals, like the Steelers, for example. I also like getting kickers later in the year. It's more important to get a kicker from a dome team. As far as McLaughlin better than the 49ers kicker, you have to. I personally don't think it's a bad option. I mean, number one, Tampa Bay's been scoring points pretty consistently. I know in Florida you have some weird desert, but you're also playing against a bunch of dome teams. You're playing against the Saints next week. That's going to be in a dome. I think that would be pretty solid. As far as the kicker, Wright, if I remember right, Matthew Wright, actually, to tell you the truth, I was thinking it was a different Wright. I don't know much about the dude, to be honest with you. I really don't. So I would go with McLaughlin, to tell you the truth, because you have somebody who's already there. And one thing about Tampa is that even though it's not a team with a bad offense, you have a defensive-minded coach. I think you have a little more opportunities. So I don't know too much about the 49ers' new kicker. I was under the impression Moody was just going to be out for a couple of weeks. So, but I would go with McLaughlin. I think that's pretty solid. I really do. I think it's a solid pickup. So. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, there was a lot of people that thought that he got Mike McCarthy fired. Keep in mind, he's not doing the greatest job in the world with Dallas, but Dallas is its own, kind of special circumstances. I don't know if you remember the article that came out about Aaron Rodgers like bullying teammates. He made, what was it, Giannis? This like 7th round pick who was doing awesome, like basically bullied him into quitting football. There's talk about him being difficult to get along with. Look at him on the sidelines. I don't know if you paid attention. They talked about this. Kurt Warner and I should know his name of the NFL Network. I love the dude, Rich Eisen. They both brought it up that the only person Rodgers talks to when he walks off the field is to his offensive coordinator, and that's it. Watch some Peyton Manning clips, watch some Tom Brady clips, and they talk to everybody. And then they go over and talk to, the offensive coordinator, quarterback coach. I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot of people that are like, hey, we got to put up with this. But I think inside that locker room, I think a lot of people are just like, man, I wish we had anybody except Rodgers. Anybody. And we'll have to find out. But I will say this. If they win on Monday night against Buffalo, they're in first place in the AFC East. They would be in first place. They would hold the tiebreaker over the Bills. They have the same record. Miami's a disaster. New England's going with a rookie quarterback. It's funny. You fire your coach, and a Monday night victory, you're in first place. That's the one thing I want to emphasize. I agree completely. Perry says, I think this move was to keep A-Rod happy. I think there was a power struggle between Sal and the front office over A-Rod. I do too. I really do too. And I think that this was a situation where it was obvious that Aaron Rodgers had issues with Salah. I remember even in training camp, Rodgers was like, yeah, it was a really tough training camp. And he was he was being very subtle. But I mean, there's probably not 10 people in the NFL smarter than Aaron Rodgers. Smart dude. But yeah, not there was issues. I mean, but that push away that you mentioned, I saw that and I was like, yeah, that's not. Yeah. This shows me why the Jets won't win. Keep in mind, Perry, the Jets win on Monday night, then they're in first place. I'll tell you this, like the Jets are not a team I want to play in the playoffs. I mean, you have a really good defense and you have Aaron Rodgers, and even though you could say all these bad things you want, I mean, the one thing I will say is that when I was watching him against the Vikings, when he throws the football, it's still really impressive. Like the arm talent really stands out. So, really stands out. Hurts or Burrow, this is a good one because, I mean, if you look at the week that Joe Burrow had last week, almost 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. I mean, just crazy numbers. I still don't believe that they lost that game. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Cleveland does have a good defense. I mean, Cleveland does have a really good defense. That team looks like it's on the verge of falling apart. Stefanski, it wouldn't surprise me if Stefanski gets the boot relatively soon. I mean, that team's just falling apart. So Philly's at home. They're fresh off of a bye. They are going against good defense, but that team looks like a disaster. The Giants are playing some pretty good ball, believe it or not. I was kind of surprised to see that Daniel Jones is playing some pretty solid ball. Sunday night football. The secondary is iffy. All right. The Giants secondary is a little iffy. The Eagles off of a bye, you have a little bit of an unknown factor. I can make a strong case for either or. My thought process is I would go with Burrow. And the reason why is that Cleveland, for all the problems, the defense is playing well. I mean, they really are. Off of a bye, another thing I could see Philly doing is really leaning on the running game, specifically Saquon Barkley. I could see Saquon Barkley let's just say scores 27-17. All right. I could see Saquon Barkley get maybe 2 rushing touchdowns and Hurts not really doing that much. Where the Bengals win or lose, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the Giants pass rush, I think it was something like 7 or 8 sacks against Geno Smith last week, and that offensive line's already beat up. He's going to make some plays. So I'm leaning towards Burrow, but I don't, I mean, if they lose to the Bills and the Bills get you have to understand the Bills are 4-2 and the Jets are 2-4 because you hold the head-to-head tiebreaker, and the next game he plays in Buffalo, it's like a 3-game advantage. Then you have no idea what the Jets are going to do. But I mean, it's kind of funny. I remember Jeff Albright. I remember him playing as a linebacker. I remember him. So it's kind of interesting. I actually thought that they would move Nathaniel Hackett, who does have head coaching experience, into that role. But yeah. Yeah, I would go with Burrow. Yeah, I've never been high on Aaron Glenn, to be honest with you. I personally think Salah would be a fantastic fit. And by the way, the wide 9 defense, that would be perfect for a guy like Aiden Hutchinson. you have some guys on that interior that really don't fit, but it would be a good fit for your main guy, and that's Hutchinson. So yeah. I understand. Move on from so the defense has just been really bad. They played Kansas City well, but I mean, you have one of the worst defenses in the National Football League. I'd be honest with you. I think Lou Anarumo is one of the best defensive coordinators in football. You have a team that's what are they 1-4 right now? Cincinnati. So you have a 1-4 team. So, I mean, I know that there are some people that weren't very high on Cincinnati. I wasn't one of them. I was pretty high on the Bengals. I mean, you have a talented team. You have a superstar quarterback. You have one of the best receivers in football. People usually get fired, and I mean, you give up 42 points to the Ravens. I mean, that's a tough one. I'm glad. Yeah, yeah. Mike McCarthy is a good coach. I think Jerry Jones is a problem. I've never been overly high on Mike McCarthy. I really haven't. But my issue was that how do you have all that talent and not win more? I mean, the 15-1 season that they had after they won the Super Bowl, losing in the playoffs, losing again to the Giants in the playoffs. I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers and so much talent. Dallas again is its own situation. Yeah, I think Jerry Jones gets a little too involved, but I think you could do worse than Mike McCarthy. I really do. I mean, do I think he's one of the best coaches in football? I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I'd even put him top 10, but I mean, I think he's an offensive minded guy. I mean, there's a lot of matter of fact. You could I think it'd almost be better if you switched McCarthy and Robert Saleh. I think Robert Saleh would do pretty well in Dallas. I think he'd leave the offense alone. Defense would be fine. And Mike McCarthy, of course, he would not work with Aaron Rodgers again. But yeah, hopefully you understand my point. So, the over under. I really think this is going to happen. I really believe that Devontae Adams will go to the Jets. I firmly believe this. I really think it's just a matter of time. With Saleh being fired, I have a hard time thinking the Jets are really going to make a move this week. I think that it'll happen. As a matter of fact, I should know this, but the Jets bye week. I don't know when that's coming up, because normally you fire guys on their bye week, but the bye week's week 12, and that's after the trade deadline. I kind of, I'm looking at their schedule. You got the Monday night game against Buffalo, at Pittsburgh, and at New England. I know Pittsburgh's a good team and everything, but if I'm the Jets, I'm thinking, we can win. Forget Buffalo. The next two games are winnable games. You have a tough one against Houston, Arizona, and Indianapolis. Those are two winnable games. Even if you lose to Buffalo and Houston, you got a couple of wins here. I mean, you could easily go into the bye week at 5-6, 6-5, and you never know from there. There's some their schedule kind of looks a little favorable. I think it's going to happen. Just a question of when. Just a question of when. I really believe that. Over under number. I'd put like a negative 135, even though I believe it's going to happen. Lawrence Pennington, 513 Cincinnati, Ohio. Man, let me ask you. I'm assuming you're a Bengals fan. Will the Bengals move on for Lou Anarumo as the defensive coordinator? So. Aaron Rodgers is the guy that will say something good about you, but it's really an insult. You know, I don't know if you remember this. Like, there was a big spat with his family. I remember his brother was on some reality show and said something about like how they don't talk and they don't get along, and his family was like asking him for money, and you know he's like, "Oh, I don't talk to my family." I know Danica Patrick was kind of like had some nasty things to say about him, like when they broke up. But I'll be honest with you, like I've heard this story. I remember Tyron Smith. Him and his wife or girlfriend had to call the police on his family because they kept on asking him for money, and the family complained because she was like 5 years older. They met at college. She was a finance major. She ended up getting a job at a if I said the name of the company, you would recognize it as a large financial institution. And what it is that they negotiated kind of a unusual contract when they're with Dallas. It was lots of guaranteed money, but significantly less than what he could have made. But you know, it's, you know, they wanted to have the security, and they invested it. Apparently the family just came always asking for money, so they just called the police on them. I've heard stories about this. So when I heard Aaron Rodgers didn't get along with his family, I didn't really question it. But then, you know, the McCarthy thing comes out, the report. You remember this report a couple of years ago about him just being extremely terrible to get along with in Green Bay, and the reason why McCarthy got fired and all this. So I don't know. I don't remember a player that there's so much negativity around. I never remember this. And it's funny because I remember when I first brought up that story, people were like, "Oh no, it's just bitter teammates." And I was like, "Look, I've never heard this about Tom Brady. I never heard this about Drew Brees. I never heard this about Peyton Manning. I never heard this about Brett Favre. It's only Aaron Rodgers." I mean, I cannot think of another player ever that have this type of like negativity around them, or so many problems. I just don't remember it. The Clowns head coach gets with the clouds of an owner in front office. They saying Watson that's more likely to fail because he didn't want to be there. I don't know if he didn't want to be there or not, but I will say this: like Stefanski won Coach of the Year last year, and I've seen this happen. You win Coach of the Year one year, you're fired the next, and it really would not surprise me if he's let go. I mean, they got to turn things around fast, but everything's falling apart in Cleveland. It wouldn't surprise me if they make a move in Cleveland either. And you're right, that's not a stable franchise, the Browns. No. It's kind of funny because the Bengals, even though they get a lot of blowback. I mean, Marvin Lewis was there for like 17 years. He was the longest tenured NFL head coach. They don't fire coaches in Pittsburgh. How long? I have no idea. You'd have to tell me. I mean, I could look it up, but how long's Harbaugh been the head coach there? So, I have no idea. But it's kind of funny because you have three pretty stable franchises, And then you have Cleveland, which you never know what they're going to do. Never know what they're going to do. I honestly, it's kind of funny because Stefanski didn't want Baker Mayfield. And what they did is they drafted Baker Mayfield, and they drafted number 1 overall. He had some success. He looked like he was finally going to be the answer. They brought in a coach to work with him. He didn't want him. It kind of, and to tell you the truth, like it's just a weird situation. It's kind of funny because I really could see it. I really think that what might have to happen in Cleveland is you might have to get rid of Watson and head coach and just start over from scratch. And it's a shame because there's so much talent on that defense. That is a really, really, really good defense. That on the talent, they did lose good talent from the defense. The Cleveland did, or no, the Bengals did. Yeah, the Bengals did. I remember when they lost Bates and they were going to replace him with Daxton Hill. Daxton Hill tore his ACL. That's a big loss, but yeah. He won a Super Bowl, put them on a team that got a bad head coach. Now he helps them win. McCarthy. McCarthy did win a ring. I mean, I can argue both cases on McCarthy. I mean, the general manager and the organization in Green Bay was really world class. I mean, you had a future Hall of Fame quarterback, Charles Woodson. I mean, there was a lot of talent. I mean, honestly, I can make a strong argument that McCarthy should have won 3 to 4 Super Bowls, but I mean, it's really hard even with a good team to win. I mean, so what it is, they traded for Hassan Reddick. It could be a 2nd round pick, but he has to meet certain requirements, which I don't think are possible. It was like 67.5% of plays and 10 plus sacks. So it looks like it's guaranteed to be a 3rd. So they lose a 3rd round pick. That's kind of what the problem is. I think is that what they would want to do is that the Jets would trade a 2nd, but they would need to get something back besides Adams. And right now the Raiders want 2nd plus, and the Jets are probably at 2nd minus. I firmly believe that there's talks already going on between the Jets and the Raiders. It's just that with not having that 3rd round pick, and Reddick's not even there. Like Reddick's not even there. And by the way, if I was the Raiders, I would seriously consider, hey, look, how about Reddick? how about Reddick for Adams, and then you kick in a 6 or something, and you never know. You never know, but I mean, Hassan Reddick not reporting really hurts. The whole trade that hurts. There's a lot of things wrong with the Jets. So, would the Jets trade Wilson to Las Vegas for Adam Favron? Well, if you're talking about Zach Wilson, he's in Denver now. But I mean, I really think that what the issue is that the Jets don't have a 3rd round pick, and they don't want to go into a situation where they don't have a 2nd and a 3rd. Remember, Reddick is doing what I'm doing. He's sitting down. He's not even playing. So I mean, you lose a 3rd. Ideally it would have been for the Eagles. It would have been a 2nd, but he'd have to be wildly productive now. I mean, that's just, the wide receiver. Okay. I'm sorry. The wide receiver, Wilson. I'll tell you, I don't see that happening at all. No. No, because Aaron Rodgers wants Wilson. He just wants another guy. The Raiders, to be honest with you, here's the thing. The Raiders, they really don't want players as much as they want draft picks, because they want to look at what's happened the last couple of years. All right, look this year and last year, okay? CJ Stroud is turned around the Houston Texans franchise. Jaden Daniels has turned around the Washington Commanders franchise. The Raiders are thinking to themselves, we're going to find the quarterback. Right now, I think it's Cam Ward. I mean, look what he's doing at the University of Miami. It's pretty impressive. It really is pretty impressive. I mean, these fourth quarter comebacks. He's a big kid. He's most years he would be a Heisman front runner if it wasn't for the Boise State running back being the second coming of Barry Sanders. I mean, I have no idea. He's so impressive. He is so impressive. Sorry for those of you that feel like I'm insulting Barry Sanders. It's just, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, he's averaging 10 yards a carry, 200 yards a game, 4 touchdowns. The only player I remember doing this is Barry Sanders. So, but no, Greg Wills, no. And here's the thing, the Raiders, they really want draft picks. I promise you the Raiders want draft picks. I'm glad you told me that, because I'm gonna level with you. I don't know what it is that he does, but when the Bengals play the Chiefs, Mahomes always has a bad game, and it's always maddening to go against the Bengals defense. I don't know if you're aware. I mean, I'm a diehard Chiefs fan, so I mean, it for me is just like I would love to see Lou Anarumo leave Cincinnati. I hate playing against that guy, but let's take a look here, though. I mean, this is so you did good week 1, 16 against the Patriots, holding Kansas City at 26. That's not bad, but 38 to Washington. Now that looks a little better because Jaden Daniels is killing everybody. 34 to Carolina. 41 to Baltimore. So in your last 3 games, let's see if I can do my math here real quick. 113 points. 113 divided by 3 is not good. It's what, 30? It's over 37 points a game. And by the way, like the 34 to Carolina, like I'm sorry. Correction. 24 to Carolina. So okay. So, I mean, 26, 38, 24, 41. That's not, I've seen worse. It's not good, though. The one thing I will say is that you guys got somebody by the name of Miles Murphy, who I really wanted in Kansas City badly. Miles Murphy, I think, will start getting things. Yeah, so, I mean, you do have some young players. And by the way, it's not that hard to get things turned around. I mean, you can doom and gloom, but look, you're 2 games out right now. You're 2 games out of first place, and I understand you lost, but I mean, you got some winnable games here coming up. I mean, look at the Giants, at Cleveland, home against Philly's tough. The Raiders at home, that should be a win. Then at Baltimore, at the Chargers. I mean, you have some tough games, don't get me wrong, but you do have some winnable ones coming up. You can get things turned around. It's only week 5, but that's good to know. That's good to know. I'm kind of the whole point of doing this show is so I can get inside opinions on all 32 teams. That's my biggest goal. So Yeah, the money thing. Yeah, Danica Patrick was kind of bitter about the whole thing. It was kind of funny. As far as getting other guys, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Everyone, yeah, I agree. Corey, I seriously, yeah, Ashton Gentry is unreal. He has 1,000 yards on 95 carries. The only player that's ever done anything remotely close is Barry Sanders. So Barry Sanders had is like 2,600 yards in 11 games. It was like 39 touchdowns. The only thing is that Barry Sanders had like I want to quote you, it was like 350 or 370 carries to get over 2,600 yards. But um, the one thing about Barry Sanders was that Oklahoma State played at the time in the Big Eight. They played, some really good teams. Were in Boise State. He already played his toughest game of the season against Oregon, and I think he had over 200 yards and 4 touchdowns against Oregon. Almost beat Oregon, by the way. Yeah. I haven't seen anything like this in a long time. And when the draft comes out, how high will he go? And in my opinion, I think that he could easily go top 10. I want to see what he does at the combine. And a lot of people are going to go, no, you don't need to see. All you need to do is just, and it's like, yeah, I look, he's putting up great stats against Utah State. Great, fantastic. I want to see what he does at the combine. By the way, he doesn't have to do like 4.3, but I need to see something at the combine. And the only reason why is that, could this guy go top 10? Could he go top 5? Is this a guy you'd want to trade up for? So I love this. Oh God. Yeah. And yeah, that was a big loss. You're having offensive line injuries. It's kind of funny because you destroyed the Rams, you beat the Niners, and then you're 0-3 against everybody else. If you just played against the NFC West, but what do you want to do? You want to beat teams in your division. And bottom line, San Francisco or Seattle is going to lose on Thursday night. Now, one of those teams is going to win, but it's kind of funny because we were talking before the season started. Somebody's probably going to go win the NFC South at 9-8. Now I'm looking at the NFC West, and I'm like, could 9-8 win that division? I'm not going to lie to you. I would love to see Arizona win that division at 9-8. I would love it. I will love it. I don't know if he's going to be a top 5 pick. The measurables I'm hearing is 5'9", 215. But is he really, 5'8", 190? Does he run in the high 4.5s versus, being a 4.3 guy? I need to know these things because I'm not taking a 195-pound running back who runs like 4.55 with a top 5 pick. Another thing you have to think about is look at the teams that could be picking in the top 5. Or any one of these teams really going after a running back. And I say that because Carolina's actually got several running backs. Remember, they drafted Jonathan Brooks. Chuba Hubbard's playing pretty well. Miles Sanders, they gave a lot of money to. Carolina's not going to take a running back. The Giants would love to take a running back. Now, kind of a mix and match guy with Singletary, but they need a quarterback. Trying to think of who's picking top 5. You really think the Jets are going to take a running back? that's the one position that they're in good shape on. Carolina, I mean, I already brought up Carolina. Tennessee actually has 2 decent running backs. If they end up being god awful. Jacksonville, that's another team. They're not taking a running back. Los Angeles Rams, they're not going to take a running back. Of course, I think that they won't be picking top 5. I mean, Cleveland Browns, they're not taking a running back. Actually, the Browns, you never know what they're going to do. The New England Patriots, would they take a running back? Cincinnati Bengals, I'm looking at like 1 in 4 teams. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sold on him being a top 5 pick. I need to see a little more, but it would not surprise me if he ends up being a top 10 pick. I want to see what he does at the combine, but I've never seen it. The last player. Yeah, that's the Boise State running back, and the only thing I've seen like this is Barry Sanders. That's the only thing I've seen like this. I just absolutely love this. Yeah, DJ Reader was a big loss. I just know when they lost Bates, you know. By the way, Darren Sproles was a star and probably should have won Heisman, but if I remember right, he was like a 4th round pick. It's kind of funny, in when I lived in Kansas City, I was literally 5 minutes away from the high school Darren Sproles went at. There was a girl I used to work with, went to high school with him. She said he was really nice. So. But he was a 4th round pick. And by the way, like Darren Sproles was a really good player. He wasn't really a star. Kick returner, punt returner. And I've always said this, I don't care about 5'6". I think it's an advantage when you're short. I'm more worried about, is he 190 or is he 215? That's what I'm worried about. Because if I see him at the combine and he's like 205 and he runs a 4.55, I'm picking top 5 or 10. I'm passing. But yeah. By the way, Corey, I disagree. I think this is a great draft class. You have a few quarterbacks, you have a lot of offensive linemen, but it's defensive laden. This is if you need an edge rusher, this is the draft to get one. There's some good corners too, but that said, I just want to see what he does at the combine. I mean, if he's like 215 and he runs like a 4.35 or something, then maybe I'm considering him top 5. So if San Fran beats Seattle and we beat Green Bay, yeah. That's right. By the way, I'm pulling for this, Corey. I'm pulling for it. I would love it so much because remember when Seattle's 3-0, I kept on saying the same thing. It was I'm not sold on them. And no, they're for real. This defensive coordinator's a genius. I was like, no, I don't really sold on. So, guys, listen, I'm going to take a very fast commercial break. When I come back, I'm going to come back with an hour or 2 of Afternoon Delight. So stay tuned. I'm just going to take a real fast commercial break. So I will be back very fast. Stay tuned. The NFL Week 6 picks video is released. Check it out. It is awesome. Now, don't watch it now. We still have more Afternoon Delight to go, but make sure you watch the NFL Week 6 picks video. As Afternoon Delight takes a commercial break, we remind you that BetUS is a proud affiliate. The video in the description below shows how easy and fast it is to collect your bonus. Click on the link in the description below and start winning today. Yes! All right, hour one is in the books. We got hour two of Afternoon Delight, show where all questions are answered and absolutely anything goes. Oh my guys, my boy Tim. Tim says, what's up, bro? Hey, does your new hometown team have the best linebacker in football, Spillane? I don't know if I'd call him the best linebacker in football. By the way, Tim, man, so glad to see you, man. So glad to see you. I don't know if I call him the best linebacker in football, but he's really good. He is really good. It's kind of a shame that he's on a team that's doing so poorly. So I can see the Jags GM is a high ceiling. With Tanks Brigsby and Travis Etienne, there's no. But to be honest with you, if Jacksonville stays with Doug Peterson, I think that what they'll probably do is kind of go all in on defense. It's kind of funny what Jacksonville's been doing the last couple of years is trading down in the first round. Matter of fact, I don't know if you remember this, they traded down several spots and still got Brian Thomas Jr. And that's kind of the philosophy they have. Another thing that they might want to do is invest a little more into the offensive line. So that is true. I don't remember if it was pick 21 or 23, but I mean, Devontae Smith was chosen in the 20s. Let me double check that because I might be wrong about that. But okay, I am wrong about that. He was pick number 10. I was thinking it's in the 20s. And you're right. They did. I mean, it wasn't his height. It was his weight. But yeah, he's top 10. Yeah, you're right. I was wrong. Like I said though, I just want to see a little more. But I mean, there's talent. I mean, I'm not saying the kid's not talented. I'm not saying I don't love the kid. I want to see what he measures in at. Because if he's 195 and he runs a 4.5 something, I don't care what the production is against New Mexico State. It's not going to last in the NFL. So reports are right now most GMs only have to really. I was hearing something a little different. To be honest with you, I think I was hearing something different. But Corey, this is the whole reason that I have the show is I want to hear from different people. And it's kind of funny. Me and you found each other because we were talking about Kyler Murray being, the first overall pick in the draft. And that's the whole point of this show is to have some interaction. So, I'm, if that's the case, I mean, remember, I don't know if you remember this or not, but this is one of the reasons why I hate PFF so much is that when there was reports that Saquon Barkley was going to be the number 2 overall pick in the draft by the Giants. And I remember some guy from PFF said, you cannot give me one good reason why. And I said, well, the last 2 years, Leonard Fournette went number 4 overall. The Jaguars went from a team picking top 5 to the AFC Championship. Remember, they were up by 10 in New England. New England won that game, but still, you're up by 10 in the fourth quarter. And Dallas chose Ezekiel Elliott in pick number 4 in 4th round. Remember, they got Dak Prescott, turned around their season. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ezekiel Elliott, didn't he lead the NFL in rushing as a rookie? And so I brought these things up to the guy from PFF, and then he resorted to name calling and oh, you're a moron, you disagreed with PFF. And I was like, I told him, I said, man, I thought we could disagree in this type of forum. I thought that, you asked, you cannot give me one reason why you draft a running back in the top 5. And I said, well, the last 2 teams went from picking in the top 5 to the playoffs. So why not take Saquon Barkley? Instead, I just got, and that's one of the things that I will never forget that. And another reason why I despise PFF with a passion. Yeah. Funk! Oh, man, speaking of people that despise me. Funk, you're my boy and everything, man. Don't be mad at me. Don't be mad. But yeah, I despise PFF. So, but I was seeing something different. But Corey, I hope that come draft time, maybe I can get you to come on. I'm only doing afternoon delight during the regular season. After the regular season's over, I haven't really decided what I'm going to do, but I am going to do a lot of draft content this year, and I'm going to have mock drafts coming out maybe a week after the combine. Maybe I can get you to come on. It's been a while since you've been on. This is a good one. Perry asked who's the next head coach who is fired. Stefanski in Cleveland is a big one. That would be a name up there. I think Doug Peterson, if he lost to the Colts, would be. Now, one thing about Jacksonville is that they go to London every year. They have two very winnable games in London, but if he loses one, or if he loses both London games, Doug Peterson, I think he wins at least one, maybe both of them. I think Jacksonville could turn their season around. Doug Peterson's on that list. Kevin Stefanski. Brian Dable, even though the Giants, I honestly, it's been a while, and I think that Dable gets fired, it'll be after the season, not during the season. I think Stefanski would be the one that I'm really looking at, because that whole situation in Cleveland just looks awful right now. It just looks awful. With the 2 London games, Doug Peterson. There is a minor possibility Antonio Pierce is fired, but I doubt it. I think I'm not sure he lasts, but I think it'll be after the season. I'm gonna level with you. Like, I really think that if Doug Peterson lost to the Colts, I really believe this. If he lost to the Colts, I think there's a very good chance he's fired before this London trip. I really believe that. The London games, Chicago and New England, if he loses to New England, whether he beats Chicago or not, he could be fired on the way back. There's a week 12 bye in Jacksonville. Week 11, they traveled to Detroit. They lose to Detroit on the way back. I could see a situation where maybe he's fired. I'm gonna level with you, though. I really could see a situation where Jacksonville wins those 2 London games, comes back 3-4, and going into the bye, if they're 5-6 and they have a chance to make the playoffs, then no. But Stefanski with Cleveland. I mean, it's funny because I'm looking at this. This is just comical. 17 points, 18 points, 15 points, 16 points, 13 points. And listen to this passing yardage from Deshaun Watson: 169, 186, 196, 176, 125. And by the way, the schedules, I mean, at Philly, and then you get 3 consecutive home games before the bye. Cincinnati, Baltimore, Chargers. I mean, I honestly could see Cleveland going into the bye 1-8. Stefanski, so. Dave, what's up, brother? What's up, man? Danny boy, I know today's not fantasy football day. Just wonder if you can answer my question. Should I drop Njoku for likely? By the way, I pride myself. All questions are answered. Anything goes. Absolutely, positively, you can ask that question. Perry has a great answer. Likely could be a great pickup. He played well this season. Njoku is finally coming back, but I just mentioned all these numbers. Njoku's been banged up. I love Njoku, by the way. I absolutely, positively love this guy. I would make this move. If you, let me ask you something. You said drop Njoku for likely. I'm a little surprised in your league likely is available. I mean, is this? I mean, let's see here. What did he have last week? Am I reading this right? 3 receptions for 13 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wow. Impressive stat line. Yeah, I'll be honest. I would do it, but I just want to throw this out there. He had that great game against Kansas City, and he had 2 touchdowns last week. But here's the numbers: 2 for 26, 1 for 4, 1 for 26. Those are his previous 3 games. I do think that likely will be used a little more. I really, really, really believe that. But even though he had 2 touchdowns last week, just know they're not really using him that much. I mean, for the season. By the way, remember week 1 against Kansas City, 9 for 11 and a touchdown. So remember, he has a 9 catch of 111 yards and a touchdown, almost had 2 touchdowns. And right now, a total of 16, 180, and 3. And that's after 5 games. I've always liked Njoku. I really have. He's banged up. Things are a disaster. I will say this: like, once the offensive line's starting to get kind of fixed up again, but I mean, Njoku still. He suffered another knee injury in the game. So, yeah. The thing is, well, he could come out or not. He could stay in school. I actually, I'm a level with you. I thought he was a senior. I really thought that he was a senior. I really did. I thought he was a senior. No, he's a junior. Correction. Okay. Let me see here. Yeah, he's I mean, he could. I'll be honest. I would be shocked if he stayed in school, especially if he wins a Heisman, which he's the front runner. I mean, there's nobody really even close. If you win the Heisman, your first round pick. I don't see you going back to school. And you could say NIL money. I don't think that he's getting a lot of NIL money at Boise. Is there a chance maybe he transfers and wants to go like Ohio State or Alabama for a year? Sure, but yeah, I cannot stand PFF. Man, that is a long day, brother. That is a long. If it means anything, I have one of those days today. I gotta work a full shift today. I'm going to be exhausted. Yeah. Funk, I'm by the way, I'm really, really glad to see you, man. Yeah. Brandon Halem, man, what's up, brother? Man, I'm very glad to see you. I don't recognize the name, so if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Really glad to see you in the chat. How did the Pats see clips of Caleb Williams and Josh Allen versus the Texans defense and decide to start Drake May? Okay, so it's kind of funny because Keaton from Keaton Talk Sports, he's a big time Patriots fan. And we've been talking about it. I know I know that I personally think that what they were doing was smart because one thing about Jacoby Brissett, he's just been getting the crap kicked out of him. And I understand one thing is that you want to start the kid at home. And by the way, like here's their schedule. It's home against Houston, then you have the London game against Jacksonville. And then you have a home game against the Jets. You want to start them at home rather than start them on the road. I get that. So you have a little bit of an advantage, but your bye week was week 14, and I know there's 2 road games, but I would have liked them to start later in the season. Brissett's is just been getting the crap beat out of him, and he really didn't look good. I really thought they should have beat Miami. I watched that game, and that was the first time all season that I was like, yeah, maybe it's not the offensive line, because there were several times it looked like he just really wasn't pulling the trigger. But yeah. But yeah, we'll find out what happens, man. We'll find out what happens. It's going to be very interesting. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. By the way, I don't want to tell you that I 100% guarantee you said this. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm pretty sure you did say this. I'm pretty sure you did say this. I wish by the way, if I was a bigger YouTube channel, I would have some other people working for me. I have a buddy of mine who just started a YouTube channel. He hired somebody to do like an intro video, which is fantastic, and that's something I should do down the road. I do everything myself, so ideally what I'd like to do is go through my live streams and do shorts and post that on my YouTube channel. And yeah. Yeah, and you said by Thanksgiving you were told no way if Rodgers was healthy. Let me ask you this. Okay, yeah. If Glenn gets a head coaching job, I'd be cool with it, but I think he goes back to San Francisco. Yeah, I actually do think that he will go back to San Francisco, but I'm just telling you this right now. I've never been an Aaron Glenn guy. It won't happen mid-season, but after the year, I could see the Lions saying, look, move on, and we're going to go with Salah. Now, this is under the assumption that you're doing bad defensively. So, Jonathan Santiago, what's up, brother? Superflex League. By the way, Superflex League. I've never been in one. Um, I've never been in one. It's a relatively new thing. For those of you who are looking at this, wondering what this is, in a Superflex League, you can start quarterbacks at the flex position, which you really kind of want to do. It's a lot of fun, a high-scoring event. Never been in a league myself. I've been in several different fantasy football leagues. Been offered to be in several high dollar, well, I consider high dollar, $100 buy-in. One league the guy tried to get me to get into was $100 buy-in, $5 a transaction. The only reason I didn't go into it because the guy was the type of dude that I didn't really trust. I mean, we knew each other, but he's not the type of guy. I thought it would be much more likely I give him all this money, and then it's anyway. Superflex League trade Adams, Wendell, and Deshaun Watson for either Burrows or Kirk Cousins and Jordan Addison. I'll tell you what, man, if you can get Burrow and Addison, I really like that. Now keep in mind, Wendell Robinson right now is putting up some good numbers. But once Neighbors comes back, I fully expect his production to go down. I've never been really high on the guy. I always thought he was more of a punt, kick, return type of dude. Don't get me wrong. Like when you get the ball in his hands, he can be explosive. But I never thought he was really a number 2 type of receiver. Keep in mind, Adams, as long as he's with the Raiders, I would not surprise me if he just doesn't play, doesn't practice. Once he gets traded, you never know. And you never know what you're doing, Deshaun Watson. I would make this move for Burrow and Addison immediately. I have no idea who your other quarterback is, but I would take Burrow, and I would take Burrow over Cousins easily, even though he had that great game. I mean, there were so many backup players. I haven't seen that for the first couple games of the season, so I don't know if he just flipped the switch. But you've seen it consistently out of Burrow. And Jordan Addison, remember last year, he had 10 touchdowns. They had like 5 quarterbacks, and now he's healthy. And I mean, this to me, I think is a big win situation for you. I really believe that, because you have no idea when Adams is going to play. By the way, when Adams gets traded, there's no guarantee he's just going to step right in and be the guy right away. I mean, I do think he'll be a Jet, but I mean, there's no guarantee he just steps into New York and like, oh, I'm instantly going to get 101 right away. So. I would make this move absolutely. And by the way, you're getting Burrow and Addison, right? I would do that. It's funny, Funk. I don't want to get too much. I know you have kids. But it's really weird. I know you have kids. I keep forgetting because like when I see a Funky Lions fan, I'm always picturing. I know better, but I'm always picturing like somebody in their early 20s, just partying it up like a rock star. I know it's not, but I don't know why I picture that. By the way, I do think he goes back there after the season's over. I'll be honest, I have no knowledge of Robert Saleh, like what he wants to do, what he doesn't want to do. But he's a guy I could see going into the college ranks and being an interesting candidate. I think it'd be kind of fun. So, but yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I expect him fired. So I'll be honest with you. I really thought it'd be after the year. Yeah, Salah lost it. And by the way, I know you're for it. I kind of getting a kick out of it too. I work with a couple of 49ers fans and a Cowboys fan who gives me crap every single day about the refs and the Chiefs. And if it wasn't for the refs, the Chiefs would be winless. And so, like, watching the 49ers go to 2-3, especially losing to the Cardinals, I love it. I love it. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of crazy. I mean, I really thought that, because I was looking at this game as the game that, hey, you beat the Bills, you're in first place. All that turmoil goes. Listen, this sounds really crazy. Winning cures a lot of ails. It really does. Um, Look, the 85 Bears. Buddy Ryan and Mike Ditka did not like each other. They did not get along. That's one of the greatest teams of all time. Ideally, you want everybody to be on the same page, but you don't. There's a lot of there's a lot of players that just don't get along with each other, and they can win. That said, like when Rodgers pushed him away, I really read into that as like this is maybe I didn't watch Hard Knocks. Full disclosure, I didn't watch the Jets Hard Knocks. I normally try to do it each year. Um, I didn't watch the Jets Hard Knocks. I didn't sign up for Max or HBO or whatever it is now. Um, I signed up for like a few monthly subscriptions. They have a lot of stuff I enjoy, but during football season, no. After football season's over, I might sign up for it, for maybe a month. Who knows? Um, yeah. By the way, this is, I mean, Albright or Albright. I actually remember him as a player. It'll be very interesting to see what he does. But if he rights the ship, I mean, will he get a chance? Um, Personally, I think that if you're the Jets, I think you do this because you're trying to entice um, a big time coach to come and be your guy. Now, Nathaniel Hackett, remember, he's Aaron Rodgers' best friend. He's the offensive coordinator. Because he didn't get promoted, you have to think to yourself that this isn't the guy that you really want to be on the right to ship. So you have to get somebody who Aaron Rodgers approves of. You have to get somebody Hackett approves of. That's going to be difficult. The only person I can think of maybe off the top of my head is somebody who's worked with these two guys before. I mean, I'd have to go through. I was trying to think here. The Saints' new offensive coordinator. Um, I think he might have ties to both of them. I'm drawing a blank on him, but at the Reds, Corey, I'd love to know what your question is. I did not know this. So, by the way, I knew he had an oblique injury. I didn't know that. I saw when I made my picks video, I saw that he was questionable. I didn't know he's going to miss multiple weeks. Carr's a tough SOB. Tough SOB. So I'd love to know what your opinion is. Dave, start Kyler or Fields this week. Any defense I should pick this week on the waiver wire? I have Green Bay right now. Well, first of all, who is available in your league? I'll be honest with you. I get if you want to start Kyler Murray, you don't want to have the Green Bay defense. I mean, you've been getting lots of turnovers and negative plays. I mean, that's the positive. Some waiver wire defenses. I mean, we talked about earlier Houston, if you can get them. I don't know if they would be available. Philly, I think against Cleveland right now would be fantastic. I'll give you kind of a dark horse that might be available is Los Angeles Chargers. Who's available? That's what I would know. Let's see here. I should know this. I literally just made the vehicle. All right. So here's your matchup. Fields out in Vegas. Now, there's a lot of problems in Vegas right now. But I'm gonna benching the quarterback. Crosby, I think or not Crosby, but Wilkins is out for a couple weeks. Crosby's been banged up. But the Raiders do have a good defense, believe it or not. Green Bay, as you know, if you have Green Bay's defense, you've been getting some points off of turnovers and picks. But I mean, there's some holes. There's a lot of talent on that Green Bay defense. There really is. I'm going to level with you. I would go with Kyler Murray, and look at best case scenario. Okay, look at absolute best case scenario. Which one has the higher ceiling? And I don't think it's close. Kyler Murray easily has a much higher ceiling than Justin Fields. I mean, I really believe that. Another thing is that even though Green Bay's defense has been generating turnovers, getting sacks, I mean, they haven't been shutting people out. I mean, it was a good game against the Rams. Rams a bunch of backups everywhere. Green Bay and Rams gave them a game. Now, keep in mind, Rams really good coach. These two coaches know each other. I would really lean towards Kyler Murray. I really would. As far as defenses, which ones are available? You know who might have a good week this week, and you may think it's nuts because they've been playing terrible, but Jacksonville might have a good week. I know you're gonna be like, Dan, they just gave up 34 to a backup quarterback. I understand. The whole London thing's a little weird. It really is, but it's kind of a matchup I think that might favor Jacksonville. Might. I mean, you'd have to be really rolling the dice, to be honest with you, if you went with Jacksonville over Green Bay, because Green Bay's been probably getting you consistent points. Philly's a defense, if you can get, I would absolutely love. I would love to get Philly's defense. I mean, Cleveland just looks like a disaster. You're fresh off of a bye. You're at home. It's a funny thing when a coach gets fired. Almost universally that week, the team that fires their coach with the new head coach almost always wins. You may want to roll the dice and go with the Jets defense. Nah, 49ers can stay bad for the next few years after all the shit they've been talking since. God, I love Corey. I'll be honest. Here's the deal. Here's the deal with the Niners is that they've signed every single position is like a top 5 paid position except for quarterback, where Brock Purdy makes. I think he's like the 79th highest paid quarterback in the NFL. But the one thing about the Niners is even though they're not paying their quarterback, they're paying everybody else. So they're a team with almost no depth. I've never been a big fan of building a team with a lot of stars because remember that's what the Cowboys did in the 90s. And the problem is once they had a guy get injured, is the backup was, just awful. And I'm not saying the Niners team has a bunch of terrible backups, but this is a team without a lot of depth. And you have to figure a way to pay your quarterback. I've never understood this blueprint because if I'm Brock Purdy, I'm looking at if you're Brock Purdy, even if you go 8-9, 7-10, it doesn't matter. You can literally go into the office and say, you know what, you're paying everybody else all this money. I want to just be in that category, which by the way, right now is $50 million a year. And you could hold out. You can hold out, and the public, the press, everybody will be behind you because they're paying everybody else. I mean, Deebo Samuel makes a lot of money. He's been injured off and on. George Kittle wants a lot of money, been injured off and on. Brandon Ayuk finally had a good week after, I'll be honest with you, I really don't think the 49ers wanted to pay him. They gave Trent Williams a ton of money. Remember they gave CMC more money, and now he's not even playing. It's funny because a lot of people give John Lynch a lot of credit, but I kind of look at a lot of things that he did. Remember, I'll never forget this. They said that the 49ers were playing chess while the Bears were playing checkers because the Bears traded for Montez Sweat. They gave up a second, and the 49ers gave up a third for Young. People praised the 49ers, but blamed the Bears. Montez Sweat has changed that defense, and he's still on the team. I watched Chase Young sack Patrick Mahomes with the Saints. But people are saying that he's done this great job. And it's kind of like, are you doing a great job, or did you get your starting quarterback as the final pick in the draft and just luck out? Because if you didn't have Brock Purdy be this really great quarterback out of nowhere, you traded 3 first-round picks for a guy that you had to give away for his 4th. Maybe I'll be honest with you, of all the GMs, I think Lynch has made a ton of mistakes and done a lot of things wrong, but he gets credit because, hey, look, you went to a couple Super Bowls. Great. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest. This is going to sound crappy because I know it's been a while since you've been to a Super Bowl, but you've been to a Super Bowl and lost. It was a great Super Bowl. I don't want to go to a Super Bowl if I'm going to lose. I don't want it. But, I mean, Lynch gets a lot of credit, but look at the way that team's built. It's not sustainable. It's really not. And by the way, they do a lot of trash talk. 49ers fans do a lot of trash talk. I mean, I'm a Chiefs fan, so I get it. This is interesting. I think they should. Yeah, you've been saying this. They should be playing May. Let them learn and make mistakes now. So he's going to be growing. I'm more worried about him. Behind a bad offensive line. Because I watched every time I watch the Patriots play, I see Jacoby Brissett just get the snot kicked out of him. And when you're a young quarterback and that happens to you over and over again, it really affects you. It really has an impact. But last week was the first time I was thinking that it wasn't really the offensive line's problem. It was Jacoby Brissett's issue. That's not. I don't care. I really don't care. I know they got some players and everything. That Miami defense is not good enough to that when they put up 15 points, they should get a win. That's not that good. I don't even think it's a top 10 defense, top 12 defense. I thought that was the first time because I watched almost that whole game, and there were several times I'm like, you got to make that play, Brissett. he's got young receivers, but here's the deal: they were able to run the ball kind of effectively. Polk's not a bad running back, or not a bad receiver. I'm sorry. Maybe you throw him in there. The one thing about Drake May is that he is very athletic. I mean, the upside is crazy high. And it's funny because, like, we're looking at Caleb Williams, looking at Jaden Daniels. There's a chance May's ceiling might even be higher. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. I mean, the ceiling is off the charts. But he was erratic at North Carolina. He threw a lot of jump balls, gunslinger mentality. The one thing about May is I didn't watch a lot of him at North Carolina, but when I did watch him play, like, he looked like he was the best athlete on the field, just like Jaden Daniels did, just like Caleb Williams did. I mean, he has, like, it's not like Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. I mean, right now, Jaden Daniels is significantly better than Caleb Williams. I really didn't think there was too much of a difference between these two in college. I think Williams was a little more exciting, to be honest. But athleticism, talent-wise, I mean, you have to understand, Drake May's a big dude with a good arm. He's built differently. Is he a 4.4 runner like Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams? I don't think so, but he kind of built like Josh Allen. I mean, he's got some crazy athleticism. It's going to be fun. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to get kind of a kick out of watching him play. Do I think he has a lot of success against Houston? No, I do not. But it's going to be fun. And I had no idea. I had no idea he was going to be out multiple weeks. I knew he was hurt. I thought he would play against Tampa, just wouldn't be 100%. By the way, if I'm the Indianapolis Colts, I hope Anthony Richardson's out multiple weeks. That sounds mean, but same injury. I wouldn't want him back in San Francisco either. If Carr can't come back, they have Jake Hapner, a guy I liked out of Fresno State. This is not a guy that you want as your long-term answer. And by the way, Spencer Rattler in preseason looked really good. There was a lot of talk that you may want to go ahead and, it's funny. He's a great dude. He sends me, I'm not joking, Funk. He sends me stuff on Instagram almost daily about the Chiefs and the officials, like parody accounts and stuff. He sends it to me for, We'll find out. There's a lot of things he's done well. And I'm going to be honest with you. If I owned an NFL team, I would want to get involved. I would want to be part of it. I mean, I don't want to just sit there and like, okay, you run everything. No, I'd want to get me involved. And there's lots of owners that get involved too. I mean, there's lots of owners that get involved. I mean, Mike Brown for the Bengals, probably not a good example. The Rooney family, they're involved quite a bit. Clark Hunt has both Andy Reid and Brett Veach, general manager, report directly to him. Some people think that he was involved with the FAU pick. Remember, the Chiefs hosted a draft, and I thought because they were picking at the very last pick that he should just trade out around one. And somebody told me that no, Clark Hunt was adamant that because we're hosting the draft, we want to make a first pick. And they drafted a kid from the Kansas City area. Matter of fact, that FAU went to high school 2 miles from where my dad lives, where I grew up at. They built that school like, I don't know, 10 years ago or something. I bring this up because I think Jimmy Johnson, talking is hard, was more responsible than Jerry Jones. I do believe that. We'll find out. I've had Max for years, aside from the Lions, Hard Knocks. I haven't watched since Sharp. Oh my God, really? I'm kind of surprised to hear that. I try to watch it, and it's funny because over the years you can tell a good team and a bad team. I watch the Giants, and I'm like, that's not a good team. Like that team's not going to do well. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think they're on the right track right now. I think Daniel Jones is playing surprisingly well. Front seven's good, but I watched that and I'm like, that's not a good team. I didn't watch the Jets. I did watch the Bears. That's another team. Like, I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's overall a good team, but I saw a few things I didn't really like. Tiki-tacky. By the way, I canceled it last month, like when the NFL season started, because I was doing this show and unfortunately I have to work full time, so I don't have time to watch everything. I like spend about 14 hours on Sunday watching football, which is fantastic. But I like Caleb Williams. Like when he talks to the head coach, he's always like, he doesn't look very comfortable. Like he doesn't look like he wants to be engaged, which is something ticky-tacky. Another thing is that in the quarterback room, he sits by himself and the other guys sit all together. It kind of seems like the other quarterbacks all get along, and then it's like Caleb Williams like his own. It's ticky-tacky, but it just doesn't seem like he's like one of the guys. It looks like he's just kind of doing his own thing. It's a little weird, but I don't think they can. I really don't think they can. I think that after signing Dak and CD, I think they have to let them walk. I mean, to tell you the truth, I mean he's a phenomenal player. It wouldn't surprise me if they do decide they want to trade him, or if they decide to let him walk if he ends up in Washington with Dan Quinn, who did wonders with him. And I think that would be one issue, is that the Cowboys, I think, would love to get him out of the NFC East, but I think Washington. By the way, Washington has some cap room too. I mean, that's another interesting thing. But I don't think they can. I really don't think they can. Okay. I'm gonna tell you something. I would really take a strong look at the Chargers. You're playing Denver. It's at Denver. You're fresh off of a bye. You're playing a rookie quarterback. I like that quite a bit. Indy's defense has been bad all year. You're going against a terrible offense, but they are off of a bye, which I don't know. Atlanta's secondary has been playing really lights out lately. Atlanta's secondary has been playing really, really, really lights out. They play, who is it? They play Carolina. That's not bad. That's not a bad one. Vegas against the Raiders. The Raiders do travel cross country, but it's a later game. That loss, I think, stings a little bit. Like I don't know about that. If Derek Carr is out for several weeks and you're going with a backup quarterback, the one thing about Tampa Bay is that I was always worried about their injuries. And by the way, they also had to move, due to the hurricane, but the injury report's not nearly as bad. As far as the Saints are concerned, I didn't know that until right now that Derek Carr was going to be out for several weeks. So you're going against a backup quarterback. That's always a good thing. I would probably go with Tampa. I mean, you're going against a backup quarterback, which I didn't know about. So I would probably roll with Tampa. I mean, you got some really good defensive players. You have a defensive-minded coach. Now you're going against a backup quarterback. Yeah, I really do. I think he'll get paid by the Niners, but it's just such a bad situation they put themselves in by signing all these other players, top-notch money, and it's really they really backed themselves into a hole. I really thought that what they should have done is move on from Mayock. Now they paid him. Everybody on that team is getting top-notch money except for the quarterback. And the funny thing is he holds all the cards. He really does. He doesn't have to take a hometown discount because nobody else did. They really can't go in another direction either. I mean, you can't, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, let's say they go 8-9. Let's say they go 8-9. Unless they trade Samuel, Kittle, or somebody, let's say you trade a big name player, you can't move up in the draft to get the quarterback that you want. And do you really want to go with the quarterback? Because the last time you traded up for a quarterback, you got rid of him for nothing because you got Brock Purdy. You almost have to pay him. You almost have to pay him. And the way you conducted the salary cap so far, you destroyed any opportunity of building a lot of depth around him. It's not a good situation. I think you have to pay him for the 49ers. And if you're Purdy, there's no way you take a hometown discount. So, clap nuts. Welcome back, brother. Do I trade Brian Thomas Jr. and Jahmyr Gibbs for Ayuk, James Conner, and Pitts full PPR? By the way, Perry has been just absolutely in love with Brian Thomas Jr. since March. Since March, he was telling me he's the best receiver in this draft. So, here's what you're looking at. You got Brian Thomas Jr. for Brandon Ayuk, just 1-for-1. I think keep in mind both receivers had good games. Both receivers uptick in production. You have Gibbs and you have Conner. I think Conner will start getting fewer touches. Gibbs, I keep saying should get fewer touches, but ultimately you have a push. Here's your $1 million question. How much value do you have on Pitts? Because even though he had a decent game, I think it was 7 catches, 88 yards last week. Is that correct? I don't think he scored. You have to figure out what kind of value do you have on Pitts. What is your tight end room? Yeah, 7 for 88, and then for the year, 15, 193, and 1. It's over 5 games. I don't understand how you can have a healthy Kyle Pitts 5 games in a season for 15, 193, and 1. All right. Here's your $1 million question. You have pretty much a push with Thomas and Ayuk, Gibbs and Conner. I would lead towards Thomas over Ayuk. Lean. All right, because Ayuk had a big game, and I think his production is just going to go up. Okay. How much value do you have on Pitts? Because I know he had a great game, but that was like double his yearly production. I can't figure it out. You're 6'6". This drives me nuts. You're 6'6", you're 240, you have leaping ability, you ran a 4.41, and the whole time you've been in Atlanta, he was the 4th overall pick in 2021. Now he didn't play in 2023. 7 total touchdowns? 7. He should have 7 touchdowns in a season, not a career. This drives me nuts. I don't get this at all. I mean, his rookie season goes over 1,000 yards, 1 touchdown. All right, plays in 10 games next year, 2 touchdowns. He played in all 17 games last year and had 3 touchdowns. Okay, bring a new coaching staff. Great, new coaching staff. 5 games, 1 touchdown, 193 yards. All right. Here's what you have to ask, and this is on you. If you think Pitts is going to turn it up, let's say you have I'm drawing a blank here, but let's just say you have nothing at the tight end position for whatever reason. All right, let's just say you have nothing, and you want to put Pitts in as a starter. You're thinking he's going to start ramping it up. Yeah. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I do not. I have to admit, I watched Jacksonville and Indianapolis, and it looks like Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be the number 1 guy. Ingram's banged up. Look. I mean, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, I don't know if the Colts defense is bad. I mean, the Bears defense is good. So I mean, we have to figure some things out. Ayuk is going to be productive. Okay, Ayuk, you're not getting a bad player in Ayuk. I mean, he's going to start making more and more plays. He's going to be more and more involved in that offense. And keep in mind, Deebo Samuel and George Kittle, both these guys could go down at any time, and then you have to force feed Ayuk, whether you want to do it or not. Gibbs and Connor, I personally think that Connor's production is going to go down just because I think Trey Benson is going to start taking over. In Detroit, they like using Gibbs more than Montgomery. I would flip-flop it. I would flip-flop it. The only way I would really, really make this trade is if you have a hole at tight end and you're convinced Pitts is going to live up to this potential. That I've never seen a tight end look this dominant coming out of college than Kyle Pitts. I really thought that. Excuse me. Yeah, excuse me. I really thought that, but he hasn't been. If you have a hole at tight end and you think he's going to live up to that potential, make the move. I don't think so. I would really hold on to Brian Thomas Jr. because the upside is there. I believe in Trevor Lawrence. I think the London thing could really start turning things around. Gibbs is a home run threat or Connor isn't. I'll be honest with you. The Cardinals are kind of a weird team. But you do have in Gibbs, you have a world-class offensive line in a really good offense. And he also has really good receiving ability, which comes in handy. I would lean towards Gibbs in a full PPR league, but I'd advise against it unless you have a massive hole at tight end and you're somebody who's like, I fully believe in Kyle Pitts. He'll turn it on. It'll be this great tight end. 7 for 88 from a tight end's good. He's not going to do that week in and week out. Maybe everything changed in Atlanta. Like maybe the light switch went off. Maybe things are going to magically be different. If you think that, make the move. But I'm kind of leaning against it. I'm kind of leaning against it. I know what Perry will tell you. Denver Gator! Let's go, nerds. God, I love Denver Gator. Now I see Denver Gator. I'm going to have to take a quick commercial break. Guys, I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be back with hour 3 of Afternoon Delight. Stay tuned. The NFL Week 6 picks video is released. Check it out. It is awesome. Now, don't watch it now. We still have more Afternoon Delight to go, but make sure you watch the NFL Week 6 picks video. As Afternoon Delight takes a commercial break, we remind you that BetUS is a proud affiliate. The video in the description below shows how easy and fast it is to collect your bonus. Click on the link in the description below and start winning today. All right. Hour 2 down of Afternoon Delight. Hour 3 left here to show where all questions are answered. Anything goes. Do check out the Week 6 picks video. I know I texted Denver Gator. Please, Denver Gator. The way it works is that, excuse me. The way it works is that when you drop a comment in a YouTube video for the first 24 hours, it really helps kickstart the YouTube algorithm. So please, drop a comment in the video. Do check it out. It's a great video. This one's a little shorter. It's under 5 minutes. So you can get involved and have yeah. I mean, I kind of like the way Clark Hunt. So what Clark Hunt did is he hired Scott Pioli from the Patriots, and he hey, you run everything, because his dad had Carl Peterson, it was funny because Carl Peterson was the president, general manager, and CEO. Basically, Clark Hunt told Carl Peterson, you do everything. And be honest with you, he did everything right except win a Super Bowl. They were the winningest team in the 90s. They had a lot of success. Arrowhead was sold out forever. I mean, it was a really well-run organization. He did everything right except win a Super Bowl. Now, when they brought in Dick Vermeil, who he's longtime friends with, they had some success. Again, didn't win a Super Bowl, but Vermeil requested that he bring in Herm Edwards. Now, Herm and Carl Peterson didn't get along. Both of them ended up being fired. They brought in Scott Pioli, tried the Patriots way, which did not even come close to working in Kansas City. And by the way, I could see what Scott Pioli was doing. I can't speak for Scott Pioli, but because I saw what he was doing, and he was doing the same things that worked in New England. He was trying to bring in a bunch of expatriates. He was trying to run things the Patriot way. The only problem is that he kind of expected everybody to go along with the Patriot way and to go along with what he was thinking, and it wasn't. The Kansas City press was completely different than the New England press. I remember he hired Todd Haley, a brilliant offensive mind, but very difficult to get along with. Lots of people have said this. Lots of people have said that. And they butted heads. He gave Romeo Crennel, a former Patriots defensive coordinator, the head coaching job because he succeeded in the interim role. Terrible head coach, great defensive coordinator. And they had to move on. My point is that the way the owner did things was that he delegated, and then he said, hey, I want to get involved. I want to meet with the head coach, and I want to meet with the general manager. Now, the rumor mill was that Andy Reid won the power struggle with the guy who's in Detroit now. He's not the assistant general manager, but trust me when I say this, he's the number 2 guy in Detroit, maybe even 1B. John Dorsey. And because of the power struggle with Dorsey, he got Dorsey fired. By the way, what Detroit's doing reminds me a lot of what Kansas City did when they brought in John Dorsey as a general manager and Andy Reid. So, but I mean, some involvement's good. I mean, Clark Hunt, I think, is involved a little bit, but I think he delegates to both Brett Veach and Andy Reid. Um, Mike Brown and the Bengals, I think, gets involved a little too much. Always been a guy who doesn't want to spend money. Jerry Jones has no problem spending money. Probably gets involved a little too much. It's hard to say, but I mean, I will say this. If you owned a franchise, I would want to be involved. If I had the money and I could buy an NFL franchise, I would want to be involved. I know a lot of you hate the Cowboys. This was the first team I was a fan of. It's funny. I really don't hate the Cowboys. I just, I really don't hate the Cowboys. I just think that out of Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson, I think Jimmy Johnson was a much more involved in the success than Jerry Jones was, and I mean, the way he's built the franchise as a business is unbelievable. I mean, there's not a NFL franchise worth more than the Dallas Cowboys. And by the way, everything about the Cowboys is first rate. I mean, the locker room, the practice field, the stadium. I mean, everything is first class. Everything is top notch. I mean, that's one thing that you can't say about other franchises. Cafeteria, weight room, everything's first rate. I don't hate the Cowboys. My buddy who always teases me, he's a big Cowboys fan. And because he teases me, I got teased back. So the story is my best friend is a 49ers fan. He showed me football pictures. This is a true story. I worked with a guy who grew up in Jersey, and all of his friends, all of his family were Giants fans, and just despite them, he became a Cowboys fan. He was kind of a douchebag. And it's funny because I used to work with a bunch of Cowboys fans, and almost all of them, one dude in particular was a really good dude, and he grew up in the Texas area. I forget where, but he was a good guy. But there was a bunch of other Cowboys fans, and they were all douchebags. So, but no, and we don't hate the Cowboys. I just like Dallas fans and the football media. The football media Dallas hype gets annoying. I seriously, I really thought they would beat Green Bay. Remember, they beat Tampa Bay. Tom Brady's final game. Dallas beat them handily. I went with the Chargers and dropped Green Bay's defense. I like the Chargers matchup better than Tampa, in my honest opinion. I'm a Jets fan. I know all about Bowles. Okay. I didn't know you're a Jets fan. That's pretty cool. Yeah, and by the way, I mean, I like Todd Bowles, but I mean, as an offensive mind, is a little limited. The one thing I will tell you about the Chargers is that they were kind of banged up defensively. I think they're going to go into this game now. Joey Bosa is questionable, and maybe doesn't play. I will say this: I'm a Chiefs fan. Joey Bosa at times is might be like the best defensive player I've ever seen. Like Joey Bosa is just unfreaking believable. There's a lot of things about this Chargers defense I've liked this year. By the way, they kept Patrick Mahomes 17 points, and they had a lot of injuries. So, I mean, there's some good things. You're going to get Derwin James back. Now that you get him back from suspension, you get him fresh off of a bye. That's a big plus. If Bosa and Khalil Mack play, oh, wow. And there's another thing. You're also going to run the ball. And I think you will have some success running the ball. Denver's defense is pretty good. But you're going against a rookie quarterback, too. He's been playing well. I can't tell you how well Bo Nix's been playing. But I don't hate that at all. I don't hate that at all. Dave, if you haven't had a chance, please watch the video. It really helps me out, whether you comment or don't. But spoiler, I did pick the Chargers. Yeah. Someone wanted to trade me Ramondre Stevenson and Waddle for Cooper Kupp. I turned down the trade. Did I make the right move? I need a little more information, Dave. What are your running backs like? Because Stevenson can come in and play. And by the way, with a rookie quarterback, I expect Stevenson to get some touches. Like, I mean, if you have some running backs that are banged up and Stevenson could start, then yeah, I think you did make a mistake. As far as Waddle, I mean, production's going to go down. By the way, like Huntley played significantly better in his second start than his first start, but you're not going to get a ton of production. Don't get me wrong, Waddle. What's the matchup last? Okay, Miami's on a bye. So the Rams. So that's kind of a push. I don't know when Cooper Kupp's coming back. I'm going to let you know this right now. If Cooper Kupp is going to be out for an extended period of time still, then you should make this move. So here's what we have. ESPN, again, is not the best source, but Coach McVay said Monday that a week 7 return for Kupp would be an ideal target, but he added it was an optimistic and by no means guaranteed. And he was saying that's week 7. All right. So that would be after the bye this week. And he said that was optimistic. And that would be against the Raiders. Now, they do play Thursday in a primetime game. I'll be honest with you. I want to know what your running backs are like. And another thing is what's your record. If you have a losing record, I would drop Kupp. If you need a running back, you should make this trade. If you don't need a running back and you have a winning record, I'd hold on to Kupp, because if you're in a situation where you're trying to get into the playoffs, make this trade. If you feel like you can get into the playoffs, keep Kupp. Now, when Kupp plays, is it going to be week 7, week 8, week 9? I don't know. But I want to say this. When you get Kupp back, he might be the difference between you making the money and winning the championship. And every league's a little different here. I've been in a league where winner takes all. I've been in a league where 1, 2, and 3 make the money, and 4 is a free buy-in. Different leagues. I know some leagues like top 6 get something. I mean, I need a little more information. I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of leaning that maybe you didn't make the right move, because I don't think they should, but if Tua does come back and Stevenson stays healthy, there's a chance you could have got 2 really good starters for a guy that may not play till week 8 or 9. And then when he does, is he the same guy? You have no idea. I need a little more information. No, I agree completely. I would love to see Atlanta trade him to a team that could use him right. I'll be honest with you. I would like to see, the Giants, if they decided, hey, we're going to go with Dable and Daniel Jones and we're trying to make things work. I could see a team like the Giants maybe giving up a third or something. And this would benefit both teams, because I think Atlanta. This is and you need some edge rushers if you're Atlanta, especially if Judon's just a 1-year rental. I would make a move Matter of fact, and by the way, if you're not using him and your offense is doing well, why not move him? So at Denver Gator, what do you think of the Jets firing Saleh? I believe it was power struggle with A-Rod. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, good call at the Chargers defense. Yeah, I do like the Chargers defense. That's a good call. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a good call, man. Oh God. Oh God. Oh God. Oh God. Denver Gator, man. Oh Jesus. Hot single women in your area seeking football nerds. Apply now with credit card and social security number. The thing is that I really just want to I oh Jesus. So here's the drill. After the season's over, I really wonder when the Jets bring in their new quarterback or their new head coach. Is it a deal that you have to get along with Aaron Rodgers? Can you move on with Aaron Rodgers? It's going to be funny. But yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I want to see the Jets win and be in first place, and then just let's have some fun. Also, how fun would it be for the Bills to start off 3-0, Josh Allen's MVP, and then all of a sudden you lose 3 straight? AK, what's up, brother? Running backs: Hall, Kamara, Ford, Dobbins, Hunt, Chubb. Nice. Very, 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 very well done. Wide receivers: London, Neighbors, Godwin, Pittman, Deontay Johnson, tight end Bowers. Would you give up? What would you give for Connor, or should I go for a wide receiver? Go for a receiver. You don't need any running backs. Denver has a good defense, I'm aware, but I still would start Dobbins. I would still start Kamara. Kind of. I mean, Hunt's on the bye. I would go with Breece Hall still. I mean, I know the production hasn't been good, but if you want to go with Ford, you could do that against the tough Eagles defense. That's your call. I would still hold on to Chubb, but I know London had a good game. Pittman's a possibility to start only if Flacco is the quarterback. Neighbors, I think will be fine, but I was the guy who said that, no, he'll be fine, then he was out. So, but I mean, you got a guy in London who had a great week, but I still want to see more. Godwin's a solid number 2. Pittman, only if Flacco's the starting quarterback, which they don't want to do for whatever reason. Deontay Johnson's solid and Bowers is solid. I would not mess with your running backs because Kareem Hunt had a phenomenal game. Hopefully you started him. You may have a top 10 running back in Chubb with a offensive line. And look, if you're Kevin Stefanski, you may just say, you know what, I may lose my job if I don't get some wins. I may just give the Chubb 30 times a game and say screw it. Dobbins looks like a world beater. But, Chubb and Ford, you got a nice combination there. You don't need a running back. I'll be honest, on this team, the last thing you need is running back. But I would, to tell you the truth, what do you want to trade? Because, I mean, I'm looking at your team and, you got 5 receivers that are pretty solid. I mean, Neighbors, when he comes back, is number 1. You have some guys in London, Godwin, and Pittman that are really solid. Deontay Johnson, solid. After the bye, Kareem Hunt's just going to get more integrated with the offense. So, I mean, that's a solid start. I mean, I'm on level with the AK. you might just want to sit and not make a move and have somebody try to offer you something. Is the team that I'm looking at right here with Hall, Kamara, Ford, Dobbins, Hunt, and Chubb. I want to keep this team, and then what I would recommend doing is you may be able to sell Ford or Chubb high, and I would try to increase my wide receiver room is the one I would look to increase because you got some really good running backs. I mean, you got 6 running backs, you got 5 receivers. Okay, I'm looking at your receiving room, and the only thing I'm lacking is like that absolute stud receiver. Can you get that? But I'm kind of with Perry. I would just hold on. Now this is fun. So I got pop up from ESPN that said the Jags and Lions are in trade talks for Trayvon Walker. That would be hilarious. That would be so funny. And by the way, I'll tell you what, I kind of like it because I like it for both teams. I mean, the Jags are admitting that, hey, we should have took Aiden Hutchinson. And by the way, like they said that this year they're going to start using him a little different. Because one thing about Trayvon Walker, it was really his athleticism and versatility. And then they bring him in to Jacksonville, and they're like, okay, we're not going to move you around. Just play defensive end. We're going to ask you to be a natural pass rusher, which he's not. It's funny because if you bring him into Detroit, you're kind of going to do the same thing. I would love to see Aaron Glenn say, hey, we're going to get Trayvon Walker and we're going to move him around. Because at Georgia, he literally played like defensive tackle, 5 tech, outside linebacker. Like that's where he excels at because he's a 270-pound dude who's powerful, who runs a 4.5. However, and I think Luke G said the same thing. If you watch him play, he doesn't have that natural bend. He's not that natural pass rusher that Aiden Hutchinson is, that Josh Allen is. I think he wants to go by Hines Allen now. But if I'm Jacksonville, I would not have a problem moving on, just saying, you know what, we messed up. Josh Allen's our best defensive player. We thought Trayvon Walker would be like Robin to Batman. He's not. We'll get somebody else. By the way, Jacksonville the last couple of years have been trading down in the first round. It's kind of worked out. It's worked out. By the way, they traded down. I don't know if they traded down once or twice and still got. I might have to look this up. I know they traded down once. I think they traded down twice. I think they went down like 2 spots. And then they went down again and still got Brian Thomas Jr. I know they did one, but I don't have a problem with this from Jacksonville. I really don't. Detroit's interesting because I would love to see Walker and Hutchinson on bookends. In a 3-4 or odd front, I don't know if that's like. I'll be honest, I think it's a better fit than being in a pure 4-3 defense, but I don't know if he would be the guy that they would get creative and move him around. If they did, and they're like, hey, look, we're going to use you inside, we're going to use you outside, we're going to use you standing up, we're going to have you use your hand in the dirt. And by the way, like this was a guy that needed, like, because he did everything at Georgia, like he needed to like kind of develop him. So it'd be fun. You have to get more than a 6th or 7th for him. So, but yeah, he's not that dude who's just a natural pass rusher. He's more of a guy that's just athletic that can do everything. I'll be honest with you. When I first looked at Trayvon Walker, I thought, well, is this a guy that you just want to bulk up and play defensive tackle? Then I saw him run the 4.5 at the combine. I'm like, no, he has to play defensive end. He's probably going to go top 10, top 5. Number 1, really? By the way, Lions don't have a lot of draft capital, so like I almost think that you might have to move a player. I did not see this. I would love. By the way, Funk, I have not seen this, but I would love this. This is interesting. This just popped up. The Eagles released Devin White, and not surprising because Zach Bond is just played out of his mind. So Devin White. By the way, some team may want to take a look at Devin White. I've always loved Devin White. But John Jacobs and Javonte Williams. Okay, so I understand. I'll be honest. I think Perry's right, man. I think you may want to make this move. And the reason why I say that is that, I mean, Javonte Williams had a good game. And I love Javonte Williams. Don't get me wrong. But for whatever reason, they just weren't really using him right. And I kept on waiting for this potential to go off. He had a really good game last week. Yeah, you may want to make this move, man. Let me ask you this here. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think maybe you should have made this move because if you're 2-3, every league's a little different, but standard league is in a 12-man league. Usually, it's top 6 get into the playoffs. For it, you have to advance one round to get something. Number 4 usually gets a freebie. I don't know what your league's like. At 2-3, I need to get you some wins fast, and Cup's not doing anything. And by the way, optimistic a week 7 return. Waddle may or may not be able to do anything for you, but Stevenson is an upgrade over Williams. Now, I'm gonna tell you something. But John and Jacobs are your 1 and 2. You're just what you would be doing Stevenson over Williams. Now that said, Williams did have a good game last week, and did the light bulb come on? Like, did they finally get everything working right? Because he had a good game last week. And let me see. 13 carries, 61 yards, 5 receptions for 50. Easily his best game. Last week against Jets, 16 carries, 77 yards, 2 receptions, 3 yards. These are, by the way, against 2 pretty good defenses. 2 really good defenses. Now with Drake May into the mix, are you going to see more touches from Stevenson? Because the last 2 games, he's been catching some more passes. If you go by the last 2 games, Javonte Williams has outperformed Stevenson. But what I'm looking at is that you can get Waddle, who's pretty solid, and you have no idea what you're getting for Cup. Hey, Dave, listen, I don't blame you for not doing this because Javonte Williams has outperformed Stevenson. Another thing is that if you can hover around 500, I need you to win. I need you to win this week. And you, let me see here. If I remember correctly, you told me, yeah, you're the one who told me you got the Chargers defense, and I think this is really good. Now, keep in mind, you're going to hate me if Javonte Williams has a great game and you lose points, or the Chargers shut Javonte Williams down. You're going to hate me. But here's the drill, man. I need you to win this week. If you win this week and you're 3-3, let's hold on to Cup for one more week, because if he does play week 7, you can roll the dice, and then you also get 3 really good running backs here. I mean, you got 3 really good running backs. I mean, you have a chance to do pretty good here. I mean, okay, let's take a look here. Atlanta at Carolina. Bijan Robinson could blow up. This could be the game Bijan Robinson really blows up. A lot of people are looking at the 500 yards. I think that this week you would ramp it down, be more of a running team against Carolina. But Bijan Robinson could have a massive game. All right. Arizona at Green Bay. Arizona's defense really hasn't been that good, and it's really weird. Arizona is 2-3. Both their wins are against the NFC West. They don't do well against non-NFC West teams. You have 2 running backs who really blow up this week. Chargers defense against Javonte Williams. Okay, well, there's a possibility Javonte Williams has a good game, and the Chargers also have a good game. So. If I'm Kansas City, I'd want the Bills in first place over the Jets. Kansas City knows how to beat the Bills. I'm gonna level with you. I was kind of thinking about this, like, how do you beat the Kansas City Chiefs? And the Jets are kind of built to beat the Chiefs, to be honest with you. Like, what you need is you need a front 4 that can put pressure on Mahomes, and you want to drop 7. If you watch that game, Jets versus the Chiefs last year, the Jets, I think the Chiefs got up like 14-0, 17-0. And then the Jets defense just completely shut the Kansas City Chiefs offense down. Zach Wilson actually outplayed Patrick Mahomes. And it was funny. People are joking around. They're like, can you imagine if you're Taylor Swift and you're watching this and, you know, your only thought is, hey, Zach Wilson's better than Mahomes. But yeah. So, but I'll be honest, if you're Kansas City, you're not worried about either team right now. You just got to worry about yourself, staying healthy, getting home field advantage. I'm starting Joe Burrow, Amon-Ra, nice. Jaden Reed, he's been playing well. Brian Robinson Jr., Alvin Kamara, Otten, David Montgomery, Tyler Bass, Broncos D. Pretty solid. On my bench, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, Wendell Robinson, Trey Tucker, Jonathan Taylor, Travis Kelce. Do you think it's a solid lineup, or do you think I should switch out? I'll switch out Bass for McLaughlin. What do you think? I apologize. I'm drawing a blank on who Tyler Bass is. The Bills kicker. He's been playing solid. Against the Jets defense, you have to think he's either going to get a lot of field goals or no opportunities whatsoever. McLaughlin, Tampa Bay against the Saints. I would do McLaughlin. Spoiler alert, just indoors. Indoors is the only reason I would do this. I when you go against a really good defense, sometimes you're thinking, okay, that's a good idea. But both teams have good defenses, the Jets and the Saints. The only thing is the Saints, it's indoor stadium, so I would do that. with Hurts and Devontae Smith, I have no idea off of a bye what to get out of either one of those guys. To tell you the truth, I haven't even had a chance to look at some of these injury reports yet. Jonathan Taylor, I would, one thing about Jonathan Taylor is that here's what I would do if Jonathan Taylor is going to play, substitute him for Brian Robinson Jr. But, or you can substitute him for David Montgomery. The issue is, so I could see David Montgomery having a good game against Dallas. Dallas played really well against Pittsburgh's defense, but or Pittsburgh's offense, but it's completely different against Detroit. I'd switch out kickers, indoor kicker. Keep an eye on Jonathan Taylor, because if Taylor plays, you can't have him on your bench. I've been telling people about Jaden Reed, but I watched the Packers and the Rams last week, and I kind of like the juice that he brings. I was really thinking he was more of a. I remember when they brought him in, I was like, I didn't like the picks. It was a high second round pick for a guy I thought would be more of a punt kick return guy, but the one thing I'll tell you is that there's a lot of balls. You got Tucker Kraft, a guy I absolutely love. You got Christian Watson, who's another guy I absolutely love. Was it something Wicks, something like Wicks? Another guy I like. And then, I want to give the running back, Josh Jacobs, I'm going to give him, as many touches as I can. But I don't hate that at all. I really don't hate that at all. I just, the one thing is about Jonathan Taylor, if he's playing, get him in there. But overall, to be honest with you, your lineup's really, really, really solid. This is a good lineup. Really good lineup. Smokey the Cat. Cool name, brother, man. Okay, I'm about 11 minutes, so I got your comment. So I apologize for the delay. If you're new to the show, because I would recognize Smokey the Cat, so I hope to hear from you again. I do rant a little much, so I apologize. By the way, on social media, you can add me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Instagram. You can always DM me. If you comment on the YouTube video, I will get back to you. So just your future reference, you can always get a hold of me later on. Smokey the Cat says, hello, I have Laporta. Should I trade away Tucker Kraft and Eckler PPR? All right, so you want to get Kraft and Eckler for Laporta. Ooh, boy. So I have a major man crush on both Laporta and Tucker Kraft. I love Tucker Kraft's upside. It's kind of funny what Green Bay did is they drafted Luke Musgrave in the second round, Tucker Kraft in the third. But it's kind of funny. They can't really seem to get them both healthy at the same time. Tucker Kraft looks like the guy who they're like, you're going to be the guy instead of like a double dose of Musgrave and Kraft. It looks like the Packers really going with Kraft. With Laporta, I've been disappointed in Detroit not getting him the ball more, but this is a guy I really thought that this, because Travis Kelce turned 35, okay? I kind of thought his reign as being the best tight end in football kind of come to an end. He turned 35 this year. He's slowed down. I thought Laporta would be that dude. And they just, for whatever reason, they, kind of going in some different directions. There's a lot of weapons in Detroit. You got Amon-Ra, who's option number one, of course. What you have to figure out, I think Laporta's slightly better than Kraft. Slightly. Now, here's a drill. With Eckler, are you using Eckler, or is he just the guy that is, just riding your bench? Because the thing with Eckler, they use Brian Robinson more than they use Eckler. Okay. And I was really hoping they would figure out how to use Eckler as more of a slot receiver. Against Cleveland, 6 carries, 67 yards, 2 catches, 30. So if you look at this and you say, hey, look, he got 97 yards. Great. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at 8 touches, and in 4 games, 1 touchdown. So I have a hard time believing that you're really using Eckler. If you have Laporta, I'm going to strongly suggest that you just stay put, because I have a really hard time believing that you're going to get Eckler and he's going to be a flex or a running back number 2. I have a really hard time believing that. If that's the case, let's say you got all your running backs out hurt, like, I got CMC, and I'm trying to think of other running backs that got hurt. Then maybe I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it, just because as much as I love Kraft and I love the way they're using him, in Laporta, you only have one tight end that they're really using there, in Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave, And by the way, I'm not really sure why Luke Musgrave hasn't been more involved in that offense. Is he hurt? I'm pretty sure he's hurt. Five catches, 22 yards last week. No, he's just not been used. It was kind of funny because he was the 2nd round pick. But, in Luke Musgrave, that might be somebody may want to make a move for that guy. I would stay with Laporta. Unless you really think you're getting value with Eckler. But I think Laporta, I would just stay put, but I know. Trade JMO for Brian Thomas Jr. Perry loves Brian Thomas Jr. Aiden, what's up, brother? Do I trade Kelsey straight? Yes. Yes. You have TJ Hawkinson off a week by. Yes, make this move. And I'll tell you why is that even though Kelsey's had some weeks and he'll have some productive weeks, he's still a starting tight end, but Hawkinson's a starting tight end. Etienne's a starting running back. He's a 3-down running back with home run speed. The injury that he had, I don't think it's long-term. I think he'll play quite a bit next week. I was just talking about the Jackson, against the Bears. So the injury from Etienne, 1 day ago, questionable. Listen, even if he doesn't play this week against the Bears, he's going to be a viable option going forward. You have a tight end in Hawkinson who's going to give you similar production with Kelsey. Look, there may be a day Kelsey has like 3 touchdowns, but I would make this move. Absolutely. I would definitely make this move. Kelsey has a bye. Let me ask you this though. Does this mean it's actually funny. I haven't even looked at TJ Hawkinson yet and if he's going to play. I'm gonna be honest with you. Just be careful. I don't know if he's going to play this week. You may have to find somebody, but after this week, I do think that I don't know if he's going to play this week. Okay, just full disclosure. Week 7 forward, I think he'll be solid. I think he'll be in good shape. And then same thing with ETN. He may not play this week. So just remember that. But yeah, I really like this move. I really like this move. I'm assuming when you say you have Jefferson, you're talking Justin Jefferson, or is there another tight end I'm thinking about that I'm just drawing a blank on? I love that. Important. Yeah, I like this move. I would always trade a tight end for a 3-down running back with home run speed. I like ETN. Even if he doesn't play against the Bears, he's still valuable. He's a guy that I don't know what your team's like. I recognize you, but ETN is either going to be a 2 or a flex. So absolutely make this move, especially with Hawkinson. Do you think I should get either Cooper Kupp or Tyreek Hill on my team? If yes, and well, I mean, and if I don't, if you scroll back up to my team, which one of your players do you think I should trade off? Well, first of all, if you can get Tyreek Hill, I always recommend it. As far as your team, who would I throw away? Can you, so let me get this straight here. Hold on here. So okay, you want to trade for Tyreek Hill or Cooper Kupp? Okay. Could you trade for Cooper Kupp? All right, let me ask you this: can you trade for Tyreek Hill? Yeah. All right. So I only got 15 minutes left, and I saw some questions pop up. I might have to get back to you tomorrow. You may have to email me, DM me, or something. Because this isn't an easy answer. Would you add Tyreek Hill to this team? Yeah. Here's my $1 million question. What does the guy want? Because I don't want to get. I mean, look, I would stay with Joe Burrow. I don't want to give up Jalen Hurts. But maybe you can give somebody up like Wendell Robinson for Tyreek Hill. Is that a possibility? You have Otten is the guy, big Chiefs fan. Maybe he wants Travis Kelce. Do you want to roll the dice with getting rid of Jonathan Taylor? Which is not something I would really recommend. I mean, because I'm looking at your team. If I remember right, you got 3 running backs. So, I mean, what would he? Never mind. You got 4 running backs. Do you want to get rid? I mean, let me ask you this here. I mean, would you be would you want to get rid of somebody like maybe David Montgomery? I would reach out to the guy who has Tyreek Hill and find out, because this is a guy that if he has Tyreek Hill, maybe he's hurting for receivers and he's just furious. He's just like, look, I'll take whatever. Maybe you can get rid of him for somebody like Devontae Smith. Maybe he wants Wendell Robinson. I don't know. I would reach out and see what kind of a trade that he wants. Does he want one of your running backs? Does he have to get Jalen Hurts? I mean, I find out what he wants, but I think adding Tyreek Hill is not a bad idea. If you're getting something good, and if you're getting, listen, I always encourage you to win your trades. All right. Somebody messaged me, I think it was last week, and he's like, well, I'm in a league with my coworker, and I want to make like a fair trade. No, I want you to win your trade. Find out what the guy who has Tyreek Hill wants, and let's see if we can win that trade. My thoughts on Salah getting fired. Finally, a franchise buckled and glazed to every A-Rod demand. This is 100% on A-Rod, thinking he's better than the team. The Jets are saying they're better off with A-Rod and goofball Jack. I love Denver Gator. I got a feeling A-Rod shags over the Jets next season. Jets are banking on A-Rod leading the Jets far in the playoffs. Stay on. Yeah, I can see Jets moving on. Yeah, yes. Yeah, Connor, you want to drop Rice, unfortunately. By the way, thanks, brother. Thanks, Smokey, man. I'm sorry it took a while, man. No, sorry. The question was, I have Laporte. Do I trade away Kraft and get get Eckler in return for Kraft? That's an interesting one. I have a hard time believing Eckler is going to give you a lot of value. I mean, Laporte is your number one guy. Kraft put up some numbers last week. Hopefully, you started him on the buy, and so you're thinking, hey, I want to sell high. Smart. I think you can get better than Eckler. Now, I love Eckler. I really thought that there was a chance they would use him more as a slot receiver in Washington, and it looks like they're using him more as like a third down back, kick returner, and so I would see if you can get more, man. I would not recommend Kraft for Eckler, even if you're by the way you're set at tight end. I think you can do better in Eckler. I mean, are you just decimated with running back injuries? Because if you are, and you're like, okay, why don't we? I just want to get a third, a guy that can make some catches. I just need a few points. I just have a hard time believing Eckler's the best you can get. I would see if we can do something else, to be honest. And Laporta is banged up. Should I sell? No. Now here's the drill. By the way, Dan, I'm assuming it's Dan Illinois' buy. That's cool. I like it, man. I like the name. I like the thumbnail. It's cool. Should I sell? No, absolutely. You don't want to sell Nico Collins. Banged up hamstring. Let's just take a look. ESPN, of course, is not. I just have it pulled up. Okay, I have to have it pulled up because I believe he's questionable. Week to week, Monday, takes a couple of weeks for a hamstring, so I'll value him on a week to week basis. Look, I do not sell Nico Collins. Period. This is a guy. I just listen. He may not have a good game against New England. All right. If your wide receiver room is set, like maybe you got CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson. I have a hard time believing you have all three of those guys. But I mean, let's just say you're set at wide receiver. I would still hold on Nico Collins because here's the deal: you're selling low, and this is a dude who is easily a number one receiver. All right. He may not have a good game against New England. But this is a guy I really want to hold on to. By the way, I've seen lots of guys, I got a bad hamstring, goes out 8 for 120 and a couple touchdowns. He may have a bad hamstring, and because he's 6'4", I'm only going to be used on jump balls and I'll have 5 catches, but 2 touchdowns and 40 yards. Still a good fantasy day. It wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't do much against New England. It really wouldn't surprise me. Maybe Drake May throws a couple picks and Houston gets up, like they're up 20-7 by halftime, and they may just, hey, look, we're just going to run the ball. We're just going to, our defense can shut May down, so we don't need to roll the dice. We'll save Collins, for another day. But if you are going to sell them, you're selling them low. I mean, is there a chance somebody on your team in your league really wants him and is willing to overpay for him? Which I don't think you would. So I would strongly suggest you hold on to him. But you may be in a situation where you may be able to sell high. I doubt it. So hold on to him unless there's like some extenuating circumstances. Not the best answer, but. No, I don't think so. I think ETN's still the main guy. when healthy. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if against the Bears, maybe Bigsby has more touches, or maybe they rest ETN this week. But no, I don't. I think Bigsby's definitely going to be the Robin in this role, because ETN's still, I think, the number one guy there in Jacksonville. That's just my opinion. I have a huge man crush on ETN, but Perry disagrees. He's not a fan. So, oh wow, God, you got a couple studs. This is a weird situation. Wow, that's a really good one. Can you sell high? So my opinion is that, okay, so you got two really good number one options right now. Can you sell Collins high? Do you have a hole at quarterback or running back? I'm going to be honest with you. I still would hold on to Collins. I still would hold on to him, but your situation, you may be able to sell high. So. No, I'm assuming it's Justin Jefferson. Okay. Running back. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Should you get rid of a running back or wide receiver? So he wants either or. God, I'd really love to dive into this in a lot more. I got to wrap up, unfortunately. Because I really don't want you to get rid of Jonathan Taylor. I really don't want you to get rid of Jonathan Taylor. I'll be honest with you. Is there any possibility he would move on from either? I would really love to see you move on from Wendell Robinson and maybe swing for Cooper Kupp or Tyreek Hill, but rather Tyreek Hill. But yeah. Now, I'm sorry I couldn't give you all the – stay in touch with me, because I really I think that if you can put yourself in a situation, use one of your bench players, you may be able to snag Tyreek Hill. I really want to touch it based on this. Stay in touch with me tomorrow. I'm going to have fantasy football Wednesday and Thursday, and I'll have a little more time to dive into some waiver wire pickups, and also let me know. Reach out to the guy as Tyreek Hill and see what he can get. See who he wants, and we'll see if we can tag team something. So. Yeah, I would say, seriously, if you can get Wendell Robinson for Tyreek Hill, do it. Yeah, I agree. At Aiden, I think yeah. My post A-Rod fingerprints all over. I believe it too. I 100% believe that A-Rod's behind this. That shove. I don't care what either one of them said. I think Robert Saleh. I think he will tell you that he didn't want Rodgers. Look at the team San Francisco had that got to the Super Bowl. Jimmy G wasn't great, but they did trade for him. I mean, I think he would have rather built this team, around a great defense and then just, complementary players on offense, Debo Samuel, George Kittle. The New York Post are saying that. New York Post probably right. Listen, winning cures a lot of things, and if the Jets win on Monday night, and usually when a coach is fired, usually teams kind of rally the wagons. Another thing about this Monday night game that nobody's going to talk about now is the problems that are going on in Buffalo. I mean, McDermott might have been able to win that game. There was some mismanagement, how they handled Josh Allen. The Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs rift. I don't know if you saw Diggs and Allen after the game. Diggs just didn't. Diggs looked visibly pissed at Josh Allen. Like that, I don't know. But if the Jets win, how hot of a hot seat is Sean McDermott on? You were 3-0, and then all of a sudden you lose 3 straight, and you were like, oh man, we're dominating, Josh Allen's MVP, and then all of a sudden, you lose to Baltimore, Houston, and the Jets. Man, that could be bad. Could be bad. I'll be honest with you. I don't think so. I really think Jeff Albright will he's the defensive coordinator. He's going to take over as head coach. I don't think the defense will take a step back. I'm just curious what will change on the offensive side of the ball. There was some talk originally that he would take play calling duties away from Nathaniel Hackett and hand him over to Todd Downing, who's the passing game coordinator. He does have experience as an offensive coordinator. There's some talks about that. Final question from Noah, man. Howdy, I have a question. I have JD5 and Lamar on my team. Somebody offered me Tyreek for Olave and Lamar. No. My receivers are Olave, Godwin, Puka, Wicks. At running back, up John Robinson, Stevenson, one flex. All right. Olave didn't have a good game against the Chiefs. I thought either Shaheed or Olave would. I'm a huge Olave guy. Lamar Jackson's still an MVP caliber dude. As a matter of fact, I know this is going to sound nuts. I would start Lamar over JD5 this week. So I'm going to tell you this: do not trade Lamar Jackson for Tyreek Hill. Absolutely not. Keep both of these guys, JD5 and Lamar. Your receivers, Puka, I think will come back. You need some help at receiver. I understand why. But you can get a lot better in Tyreek Hill right now. Your running backs are solid. But John Robinson, Brian Robinson, both solid. Stevenson, he's going to get a lot. I think Stevenson's kind of a weird unknown thing, but you need some help at receiver. I get that. And Olave had a bad game Monday night, but you do not. If I was you, I'd hold on to both quarterbacks until you get something massive. And by the way, I know I'm going to sound nuts saying this. I would start Lamar Jackson over Jaden Daniels. By the way, there was talk about that. And by the way, he didn't get promoted. He's the offensive coordinator. If you're new head coach, you have control over who does the play calling. And you may say, hey, look, I'm going to switch some things around. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think anybody does. But there was some talk about it. I have no idea. I mean, Hackett and Albright, they may get along really, really well. And they're like, this Salah guy just didn't get it. I have no idea. I don't think anybody does. Guys, that's it. Round 3, Tuesday of Afternoon Delight is over and done with. Please check out my NFL Weekly Picks video. Tomorrow is Fantasy Football Wednesday. I can't wait. Hopefully you will be there. I will be there. It'll be a lot of fun. I hope to see you all back tomorrow.